When we first saw the loft, I wanted it to feel sensual and a bit mysterious as well. When people walk into the space, I want their clothes to immediately fall off their body. I think you can start to understand how that might be the case. The project in total took just over 2 years. There were definitely some challenges along the way, and this is essentially where we started. I'm Darren Jett. I am the owner of Jett Projects based here in New York, and today we are in the heart of SoHo in a beautiful loft that we recently renovated. When we first saw the loft, it was so nondescript. There was nothing in here that really called attention to what was cool about it. The kitchen was just sort of there. The bathrooms were just kind of there, and it really didn't highlight the beautiful parts of this apartment that I wanted to highlight. Every neighborhood in New York is different, but SoHo has a certain vernacular that is very specific. It's these old warehouse lofts that have been preserved really since the 1970s when artists were moving in. I really wanted to pull out the things that were specific and thought-provoking and interesting, because it's not just about SoHo, but it's also my client and his lifestyle. There's the formal architectural language that we can use, but I think what we were trying to achieve was an emotional effect. And we knew which tools to use to get us to that point. The first things that were kind of firing off in my brain were really about the 70s. That was a huge jumping off point. We were looking at a ton of different references, from Joe Dorso to Bray Shable to the famous Calvin Klein apartment back in the day. I wanted carpeted platforms. I wanted black and white. I wanted some starkness. I wanted things to be sleek. Lots of glass block, lots of gridded tile, lots of low slung furniture, lots of built-in furniture, lots of wall-to-wall carpet. Things that I think people might be a little afraid of. I was really willing to really go there. And luckily my client was also so game. For me, the biggest challenges were getting light into the apartment. It was the economics of the renovation, and it was the layout, packing everything that we could into a limited floor plan. It was pretty dark, so I was pretty quick to say, let's embrace what we have. Let's maybe embrace some of the darkness. Let's think about a long hallway that's all one deep dark color that is this sort of transition zone from the outside world into your beautiful new apartment. The contrast between the light and the dark makes the light spaces feel lighter. Tenets of Louis Kahn, Frank Lloyd Wright, the idea of compression, the idea of release. These are all architectural ideas that I think drive home the light and dark. The bedroom here got some light, but I didn't really want to call attention to the bedroom whenever you were in the living room. I wanted the bedroom to sort of fade away. So we decided, let's paint the bedroom black. We're creating a multitude of spaces within one space. We have a large open area, but we're starting to carve out special segments within that to get a lighter feeling apartment where we wanted it. The finishes in the kitchen are all about sleek, all about sexy. We used marble, but instead of doing honed finishes, I wanted to think about making it polished to where it would bounce the light into the apartment. I really wanted to see a stainless steel kitchen. So the Materiality, it definitely references the sort of industrial past of SoHo. Stainless steel has this beautiful effect where it's sort of half polished and it's half matte, sort of a satin effect. So as the light changes throughout the day, it really warms up. The shadows dance beautifully across the surface, and it really makes the space come alive. There's a lot of mirror in this apartment. The core of the new kitchen and the new bathrooms, the top 2 feet are wrapped in a mirror that essentially reflects the tin ceilings throughout the space. We had a whole new HVAC system placed in this apartment. There were window units at the time, and I said, absolutely not. Will we have window units in a brand new renovation? And so we dropped soffit up there and had beautiful slotted HVAC in the mirror that you can't even really see unless you know where to look. One of the other big problems was the layout of the apartment. It was sort of open, yet choppy at the same time. We were going to completely gut it, but we also had very strict limitations about what we could do in terms of wet over dry. Wet over dry is essentially where the rooms in the apartment that have plumbing, the kitchen, the bathroom, the laundry room, they have to be within a certain footprint. The apartment below has a certain area where the kitchen and bathrooms are, and we could not go over that limit. If there was a leak, we can't have any leaks happening in a dry area below. The client had this vision from the beginning, and he was like, I want this sort of a wet room, an open shower with a tub in my apartment. What we wanted to do was to keep the 2 bathrooms, and we also had to have a separate laundry room. We also needed to have closet space. There were no closets in this apartment whatsoever. It was a really tall order, involved so many different layouts and sketching until we could figure out how to get what he wanted. And this is where we ended up. The wet over dry aspect of the unit actually helped us out because we realized that we could sneak the kitchen into the living room if we maintained an island that did not have plumbing. So you can sort of see here where originally the kitchen created a sort of U effect at this point around these columns. And by pushing that out and making a sort of galley style kitchen, a sort of bar of storage here, we really gained a lot of footprint in this area. What we could do was sneak the laundry room into the very, very back of the apartment. And we knew that perhaps it would make sense for the laundry room to be accessed through the main closet. You know, you get ready, you have your clothes, at the end of the day, you put your clothes away by the washer dryer with a built-in hamper. What we wanted to do was to maintain that footprint, but really dress it up, really have something that felt very special, very unique. What we have in this renovation, we've managed to keep all of the original materiality on the perimeter. We have the original brick. We have the original tin ceilings. We simply painted it. We painted it white or we painted it black. To contrast that, we have this idea of a sort of cube that lands in the apartment. So we're sort of standing in that threshold right now between the old and the new. It's that original space between the public and the private. This architectural intervention where the stainless steel contrasts with the brick and the tin ceilings. It's a jewel box within a jewel box. It feels very modern, and at the same time, it feels quite warm and inviting. We were also working within a rather defined budget. We have this beautiful loft, but we can't spend a fortune renovating it, and it needed a lot of work. The first couple of times that we talked to contractors, they were telling us numbers that were 3 or 4 times the budget that we had planned for. So we had to be really, really intelligent about the materials that we used. For instance, in the bathrooms here, we originally proposed doing a beautiful marble slab. That, as an example, is perfect because it, again, lends itself to that sort of 70s look. The gridded tile, gridded patterns was very prominent then. So even though we had economic constraints, it led us to an aesthetic result that was very true to our original references. We have this really incredible round shower made out of glass block. Again, very SOHO, very 1970s, also quite economical. The shower was an element of the apartment that really had a lot of different lives. We had probably 20 different renderings of the shower. And really it was incredibly important for us from the beginning because our client was like, if someone's taking a shower and I'm in bed, I want to sort of see a silhouette, but I don't want to see everything. So it was, how do we achieve that? The first thing that we tried to do was a ribbed glass. If you are looking for ribbed glass that is curved, good luck. It is very, very, very expensive. You have to go to Italy to find it, and good luck getting it shipped and into a New York City apartment. We then decided to look at curved glass that was maybe frosted, but that felt a bit too millennial, a bit 2000s. It really wasn't the effect we were going for, even though it was about half the cost of the fluted glass. It wasn't until down the process, many weeks of emailing people and calling people and trying to speak Italian, that we arrived at doing glass block. It was maybe a tenth of the cost of the original quote of the fluted round glass. And what's crazy is that it was in front of us the whole time, in a way. There were so many references of all of these New York specific 1970s design books where glass block was so prominent, and it was all in SOHO. By doing the budget of the renovation, the kitchen, the bathrooms, the moving of walls, the creating of this sort of wet room scenario. A lot of the budget was eaten up just in the architecture. We didn't have too much budget left over for furniture. So down the road, as we got to that point, we realized, okay, the built-in furniture actually makes a ton of sense. I could design the sofa for half of the cost of buying something. We could create a bed that felt as though it was a part of the architecture, a part of the floor even, for a third of the cost. It's always something that I've loved. Every time I open up a book and I see a built-in sofa or a built-in bed, it excites me. I get a lot of requests for sunken living rooms in all of my projects. This one made the most sense to tackle that. We have the sofa here, we have the bedroom behind me. How can we have a sliding door that's open, but still have a separation in space? We decided pretty early on that this would be a great opportunity to raise up a platform, to carpet it fully, and to have a sort of rise and fall from the bedroom to the living room. It's an emotional thing. You sort of step up and then you release into the bedroom. You have this carpeted platform that really lends itself well into just going up the wall, into the bed, into the headboard. And what it does in the living room is that it creates the base of the sofa. And this was a reference directly from Giolinti's apartment in Milan, where she had a wraparound sofa carpeted, and you have these cushions that sit on top, and it creates this sort of low-slung sofa situation where, you know, you can fit 22 people, 25 people around here very easily. And I felt kind of like Anne Hathaway in Devil Wears Prada when I got this project. As soon as I saw the address and I saw the building, I was like, this is very, very exciting. There's a lot to work with here. Yes, we dove into all of the details, and we were up late at night and in the morning refining cove lighting details and corner details and mitering and all of the things that make a project happen. But I would say that really from the first couple of weeks, the overall vision, the overall concept was really driven home. And from the beginning until the end of that design process, we really did not stray too far from where we started.